DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective. Your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
Draft heads, what is going on? Welcome into the Key Pass Collective. It's good to be back. Hope everyone had a great international break. Those of you who roster Matoma and Bowen, probably not quite as good of an international break, but rest assured, we are here to cheer you up with some lively banter and some discussion of new rankings, which is always pretty fun. My name's Joe Williams. I'll be your host for this particular episode. Reminder that the Key Pass Collective is, of course, the audio companion to the Draft Society website. What is the Draft Society, you ask? Let's quickly review that as we do every episode. Yes, somebody mentioned that I should probably just record this bit, like Sanji does with Banta Boys. But you know what? No, because then just all the little slip ups, all of the we call it personality. It just adds to it. It adds to the je ne sais quoi each week. So we're going to keep at it, doing it live. We're doing it live! Anyway, okay, DraftSociety.com. That's your spot. That's your place to go for everything draft related. So if you played the draft fantasy football game, we are here for you. We got you. We specialize particularly in the Fantrax version of the game with the default scoring. Although we do venture from time to time into just regular draft default scoring on the official game as well. And we're going to do so a little bit more going forward. We're looking to have a little bit more foray into that scoring system as well, so we can have some different options on our site. But yeah, we've got rankings. We've got waiver wire articles every single week, sleepers articles weekly, draft statistics that are completely free, league setup articles, draft 101 articles for commissioners. And I should add, just as of this week, we also have predicted lineups on our site, which are live. They are there. Check them out. Those are free to the general public, and those will be useful for everyone, not just in the draft game, but anybody who plays even FPL. Those will be useful for you all as well. So check that out. Yep, we're pretty proud of it. Pretty cool. So those originate from our fantasy toolkit, which is a benefit if you join the Inner Circle. And you sign up for a season-long pass, you'll get the Fantasy Toolkit. The Fantasy Toolkit is one of our paid options that kind of keep the lights on here and support an independent fantasy football website. So we do really appreciate anybody who's willing to support us and is willing to shell out a couple of shekels a month. And the Fantasy Toolkit is literally bespoke advice. You're gonna put your Fantrax ID in there, and it's gonna give you advice on who to pick up, waiver wire additions. It's going to give you basically, value, like your player's value, rest of season value. And it's going to put a number on that in terms of, you could even add up your entire roster and see what your rest of season value is for your roster versus your opponent or versus those in your league. It's got a lot of stuff in there. Fixture difficulty tracker, power rankings for every team in your league. It has a trade calculator. I was just mentioning matchup projections for you versus your opponent every week, and then your optimal lineup. It really is our crown jewel. And if you're willing to sign up for the Inner Circle with the season-long pass, you'll have it as well. Check it out. And then for anyone else, just regular Inner Circle members, we haven't forgotten about you. You also get the player projections every single week. You get our sortable consensus rankings, which just dropped over this international break. Set piece taker tracker, fixture difficulty tracker, Inner Circle, Discord access, confidential trade advice through email. No one in your league will see it. There's a whole lot of benefits there for you as well. So check it out. We would love to gain some new members, of course. But even just the free stuff on the site is invaluable. And we do it all because of this community. We love you guys. Welcome in. Okay. Let's talk about this week, what we're going to be talking about today on the pod. So first of all, for those joining us live, welcome everybody. How are you? Brandon, what's going on? Omar, how are you? Evan, welcome back, Evan. Pubs with Ab, longtime listener / viewer. Draftash, what is going on, my friend? Sorry about United this year. We'll probably bring that up a little bit this episode. And hopefully more of you can get at us in chat. I know there's more watching. Just feel free to say hey. So anyway, yeah, join us live Wednesday nights, almost always Wednesday nights at 5:30 Eastern. Sometimes it changes, but not that often. So check us out live. It's fun. Banter in the chat and ask us questions. We'll try to get to them live. So as I was saying, today we are going to talk about those top 150 consensus rankings that we just released. We're also going to get to our Gameweek 13 waiver additions and stash candidates. And then, of course, any questions that you guys ask in chat or any questions that you have, we'll try to get to them as we go through and answer them live. Okay, let's bring in a couple of really good-looking gentlemen. We were just talking about getting older, and Ryan and I are right around that landmark age. We'll just say right around that landmark age when men become wiser. And Sanji, of course, you have a couple years. So yeah. Speaking of Sanji, speaking of landmarks, you went to the Football Content Awards just this last week, which the Draft Society was nominated for. Tell us a little bit about that.
I kicked Robbie's ass in foosball. That was fun.
That's the takeaway. Yeah. I love it.
I mean, what I saw of the stadium, pretty awesome. I would say definitely once in a lifetime opportunity that I am quite thankful for. But it was great. Met a lot of fellow content creators, some idols, people that I've listened to for years, for seasons now, and spoke fantasy football, spoke a bit of fan tracks. I think we might have, some surprise guests in the future.
Love it.
On conversations and connections that we've made. But yeah, it was honestly a fantastic networking opportunity, and it was like finding your tribe, your long lost tribe, your clan of like stat heads, nerds. Like, yeah, it was beautiful. The event altogether was good. I mean, the dinner was a bit shit, not gonna lie. Together, like, didn't even get cake or dessert. Like, the most exciting thing was getting the Panini sticker pack thingy to open. That was a new experience for me.
Was it just waiting for you at your seat?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Basically. But everyone just got randomized packs. Yeah.
It's a good touch.
I'm quite proud of my Shiny McNeil card that I need to mail to Jeannie somehow.
There you go.
But yeah, happy that we were nominated yet again. But I mean, who knows? Maybe we might get a podium finish next time around. Let's see.
Here's to hoping. Ryan, how's your international break?
It's been lonely. Actually, yeah. No, it hasn't been bad. Ton of work, and yeah, with the rankings and everything else, we didn't really get much of a break on the TDS side either. So
yeah,
been busy, but yeah, looking forward to this Thanksgiving break. No work, no TDS stuff left. So truly going to relax before the pain comes back this weekend.
Yeah. Last non-draft fantasy football related question. Are we a fan of the Black Friday NFL game or not?
I've struggled with this one because I had heard that they offered it to the Bengals Steelers, which was nice, even though our season's over now with Burrow out.
Yeah.
But they went with the Jets because the link between Black Friday shopping in New York or some nonsensical NFL thing.
Makes no sense.
I like it. I mean, more sports is always good. So I mean, it's going to be a shit game, but it's another reason to lose some money. So
there you go.
Which is always appreciated.
I like it. All right, let's get back to the matter at hand here. Okay, So we are, like I said, talking rankings. So the first thing I want to talk about is just I called it making the sausage, right? So the actual act of making the rankings. We had some interactions on Twitter. Never going to call it the other name, so just Twitter this week. Draft Pie basically kind of commenting the way I've always thought of them, right or wrong, is that if a draft happened today, what would the draft order position be? Is that a sensible interpretation? Draft Offside saying that that's kind of how he sees it as well, and that how everyone has different opinions. So we're going to talk a lot of valuations today, clearly. In terms of putting together your rankings, how do you guys actually, you know what, I'm going to show you the next slide as well, because it's another kind of comment from a reader. I was going to say listener, although he is a listener as well, but the rankings were not audio. So this is from Draft Alchemy, of course, the famed, maybe infamous Draft Alchemy. And this, he put together a punt index, which I thought was really interesting. So Sanji, you'll see that you are leading in this punt index with a score of 327. And so this ties into my previous, question about how do we put rankings together? Is it just which player would you rather roster at this moment? Or is it, as the punt index would indicate, is it more how you, like, if you think they're going to come good within the next, 5, 6, 10 weeks? Is it a mixture of all of that? Like, what's your thought process when you guys go into this? Because I always say that rankings are hard. I found this particular set to be insanely brutal because there's so much mediocrity in this league right now.
Yeah, I mean, with rankings as well, like, it's hard not to hold on to the past. I mean, I think people were questioning, like, certain picks, like, why is Rashford so low, etc. But I mean, sometimes you have to accept the reality of the situation and not hold on to the past value. I mean, you've had this issue with how Abdoulaye Doucouré is valued in some of your leagues and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit of that, and just trying to be realistic about the situation. And I mean, even with like the injuries and stuff like that, like, yes, we know Maddison's out till what is it, New Year or whatever. But at the same time, I mean, sure, you might be missing them for the next few game weeks, but at the end of the day, I would still want Maddison as one of my top picks, like one of my first or second picks, regardless. Like, because I do believe he'll come back, and we've seen this from players like him before, right? He's gotten injured before, but then he comes back and he will help you probably win your league towards the end, right?
Sure.
Your current position, your current assets, like, yeah, they will change value and stuff like that. Like your current position in the table as well, where you are in your league, but you can easily go on a run of wins and catch up out of nowhere, right? So I mean, yeah, it's very hard. And listen, that's one thing about this game, is that it's a game of opinions as well. Like, sure, people will go hard by numbers and stuff like that, but sometimes it's a bit of eye test, it's a bit of gut, it's a bit of experience playing the game as well. So it's always going to vary. You're not going to make everyone happy in this community with your rankings. But yeah, it's a tough job, man. I understand why Ryan hates it, but it's a tough job. Honestly, it's not easy at all.
Ryan,
hate is a strong word.
Strongly dislike,
and yet it's still not sufficient. Despise is probably a better one. It's really tough, and it's impossible to quote unquote get it right. I mean, all the players are different to different folks. We all have different things that we take into account when we're putting together ranks, yada yada yada. So it's really tough to compare them and to put them together. And you'd think that 150 would be enough to really capture the landscape, but you're still missing a ton of other players. So it's a long wind up to say that it's really difficult. And a lot of times it's apples and oranges. So it's tough. But what I think the description you shared earlier, Joe, of where we would take these guys in a draft tomorrow is probably the best and easiest way to look at it. I mean, it's not. I mean, we had Madison 23. That doesn't mean that
24.
24.
Yep.
He's a top 10, top 15 player when fit, but if you get injured for 2 to 3 months, like your value is going to take a hit inherently.
Yeah.
You're not going to take him first round today like you would a month ago. So like it's not a knock on him as a player. It's just those are the types of things that you have to factor in. And yeah, going back to Rashford, name recognition goes out the window if you've been completely unreliable all season.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a natural birth to be in the top 20 every rankings. He needs to learn a lesson, so to speak. So
I love that we're the ones who are going to be like teaching him that lesson.
Yeah,
like he's going to log on to the Draft Society.
This will hurt the most, I think.
Yeah, and he's going to see that he is ranked. Hold on, where is he? He is
30s,
ranked
I think
39th.
Yeah,
39th, and not to throw
late first rounder in most drafts.
Oh, he absolutely was.
Yeah.
And Ryan, you absolutely skewered him. You have him at 50.
I mean, I need to look back and see what he actually is in terms of points production, but it can't be that far off.
It's like, also to speak to just making rankings, do you guys, when you're going through and making them, like, do you ever think, oh no, that's too low? Like you're gonna be the sole person who has an outlandish ranking of a certain player. Like when I had Rashford at 32, I kind of thought twice, like, is that too low? Like, am I gonna look foolish here?
I steadily moved him down.
Yeah.
I was like, I kept thinking that I was being too generous with him.
Interesting.
And I just kept on moving him down. I think I probably started at like late 20s, early 30s, and I was like, God, I was like, then I went through the list, and you're like, I'd rather have this player, I'd rather have this player, like, and then you just let him fall.
It's so interesting. I don't know. And in terms of like the vast ocean of mediocrity that is most of the players in this league this year, and then you have injuries, and then you have players who are rotation risks. And did you guys find it to be like one of the more difficult times you've ever done rankings?
I wouldn't say it's different than other.
No, yeah, me either. No, this was simple. I shouldn't.
I think it gets easier the more often you do it. But it's still like, I think, Ryan, you kind of hit the nail on the head, like in chats and stuff like that. Like after a certain number, then it's just like, I think it's just personal preference. Like, you can't even like look at the 0.25s or whatever differences you can pull out. But
yeah, I feel you. I mainly set mine up where it's like personal preference, but then I also I lean pretty heavily on like points per start, and then I'll look at like percentage of starts that a player has. I look at ghost points a lot. Like if there's a deciding factor, a lot of times for me it's ghost points, like whichever player is going to deliver more of those if I'm like between two. But yeah, sometimes I'll look at like ceiling versus floor. But those are mainly like the stats that I've got like at hand when I'm doing ranks.
The tough ones for me are the kind of comparisons between someone like Tsimikas, who is going to have a fairly short shelf life, but has a ton of upside, and he's someone you'd rather have than someone, say, like James Garner, who's going to start every game but gets you probably 7.
Yeah.
So how do you compare the two? I mean, Garner's going to end up with more points end of season because of attrition, but Tsimikas is arguably more valuable for the next 3 to 4 months.
That's such a good comparison too. That's a amazing point. Yeah.
And real quick on Rashford, 2 questions. Over under on if he's the 70th highest scorer or not. Higher or lower?
So it's starting today, rest of season.
No, I mean, what is he right now?
Oh, right now.
75.
Over under. I'm gonna say just like the analytical part of me is trying to gauge why you would ask this question. So I'm gonna say
the
under.
leading question.
Yeah.
No, it's higher. He's 78th highest scorer right now.
That's still so bad.
78th, below Bern Leno. and you don't want him to be in the 30s. I mean, come on. We gotta price this stuff in.
I mean, he's in good company though. Like let's be honest.
I love me some Leno.
You and I love us some Bern Leno. Draft hash. Rashford hasn't hit double-digit scores since game week 4. Ouch.
Leon Bailey a 1.5 behind him, and I don't even think he made the top 150.
Yeah, he didn't because you ranked him.
Yeah.
and it showed up as a blank in your rankings. Oh, that is amazing. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get stuck in then. All right. So, biggest fallers in this set of rankings. Biggest fallers. You're going to see some obvious ones like injured guys like Robertson. But let's just kind of go through them for audio listeners. So, falling 58 spots, we have Bissouma, Andrew Robertson -50, Richarlison -50, Mount -43, Antony -41, Kai Havertz -39, Kurt Zouma -39, and Enzo -33, Alex Moreno -29, Udogi -27. Oof. Matty Cash -26, McAllister -25, Boley 24, Hoyland 22, and Almiron -22. Any names jump out from that list, gents, that you want to touch on?
I always think the ones that are the most interesting are the ones that have dropped, not due to injury or circumstance, but just from generally just sucking.
Yes. Yes.
So the Antonys, the Mason Mounts, the Kai Havertz, the Enzo Fernandezes of the world, Yves Bissouma as well. Why they're started to suck, and is it going to continue? Those are the interesting cases for me.
Okay. So let's just start with, will it continue? Will it continue for Mason Mount? Oh, I thought this was going to be like quick fire.
It's not like will it continue? Will it change for Mason Mount? I think it's like, will it get better? I don't know. Like that's up to Eric Ten Hag and how he maybe tries and deploys him differently. Like, yeah, I don't know. I have no hope for that kid right now at United. So
last chance saloon for him in the next few weeks, I would say.
Yeah. Can this be true? Stateless Addict just in chat said Mount has not scored or assisted a goal in the 2023 calendar year.
Wow, I'm gonna have to fact check that. That's wild if true.
That's crazy.
I was just thinking over the international break how he was a fixture on the England team in a multitude of different roles, and now I don't think he's gonna make it to the Euros.
Yeah, how could he?
I mean,
how could you overlook?
Has shown the way, but
yeah, that's true.
If it wasn't Southgate, I would say definitely not.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like a legit assist or fantasy assist. But it says he had some form of assist when he was at Chelsea versus Fulham Jan 12th. Maybe that's one of those bullshit fantasy assists. He gets tackled and someone scores like a free kick or some shit. But
somebody,
I love you had to go back to
look it up, figure it out.
It's wild.
That's still just crazy. And even if that's the only one, that's wow.
Yeah. I think Kai can get better if he plays left back. apparently he scored from there. So
Yeah, the goal was jammy as shit.
I just need you guys to I need you guys to be with me on this one and just be done with him for forever.
I dropped him in every league.
I mean, I'm surprised he's even within the 150. So, did I have him in my 150? I don't think I did.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah.
Because we always do for listeners and / viewers' sake, on our Slack channel, we always do, like we fact check rankings just to make sure, right? And just to make sure we're not forgetting anybody crazy or whatever. So it'll be like, hey Joe, you're missing Harvey Barnes, Mason Mount, and Miguel Almiron, or not Mason Mount, sorry, Kai Havertz and Miguel Almiron. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I said, yep, I'm fine with that. Was my response to that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm okay. Like very quickly, please let's not belabor this, but like if Kai Havertz were to say get a transfer to Forest, would you give him another chance, or are you just done with him no matter what, like as a player? You're muted, Ryan. You're still muted? There we are. Nope.
The universe won't allow him to trash talk Kai.
Still nothing.
I mean, I can jump in while he sorts this out, maybe. I think I'd be surprised if he even got minutes in the other teams. Like, it's weird. Like, he does absolute bits for Germany, but when it comes to club football in England, I don't know, man. It's a massive struggle. It's really terrible. It's sad. It really is, because he's definitely a proper baller. There's historical evidence of it, but for some reason, I don't know, man. Somebody has worked their dark magic on him after moving to England. It's sad. It's really, really sad. But I mean, to answer your question, I probably still wouldn't touch him as a fantasy asset. So.
But like going back to our previous conversation before we started recording, there's historical evidence that I used to have brown hair as well, in the form of pictures. But that hasn't been true for quite some time. I started graying when I was like 28. So historical evidence that Kai was good, like what, half a decade ago at this point? I mean, we're getting on in years.
Yeah. Man, it's sad. I think I asked on the recording last night to pick between, who is it? I think Kai, Gakpo, and there was some other shit useless forward. And Ryan told me it was Gakpo, shit useless forward, a lot of other people, and then Kai Havertz.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's I mean, listen. Sometimes I think you just gotta accept, regardless of the club that they play for, the name value, all that sort of stuff. Points win games, man, and the guy does not score points. So, yeah, just drop and move on. Like, you can that's a spot that you're wasting in terms of like streaming, grabbing a gem that will pop up. Like, just move on.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I was gonna say I wouldn't start him unless I see him playing at the number 9 or I see some semblance of improvement. I gave him all the way up until now. I gave him coming in on the right side for Odegaard. Gave him against Burnley at home. That was the last straw for me. Just dude has zero killer instinct. He's tepid on the ball as soon as he gets it. He's like I don't know, more languid, like Jack Grealish. Little shimmy, turn around, simplest pass available. There you go.
Yep.
He's a squad player. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he has had like vital, maybe pass before the assist sort of moments for you guys. But fantasy prospect, absolute dead in the water, right? So
yeah, it does the little things fine. It's just it's not going to equate to points.
Yeah.
Unless he starts firing, and he hasn't yet. So I lost patience and dropped him in every league.
Yeah.
He's picked up in I think every one of them though. But yeah, it's a name thing.
I think Fantrax Fox asked a really good question here. Where would the Digne Moreno handcuff rank? I mean, I am in the minority in that I didn't rank Moreno, and that's probably just because he hurt me. But but yeah, if you knew you had that position locked up, I don't know. Sanji, what does Digne get you per week on average? I know you roster him.
I want to say maybe 8 to 9 points. Like he had one of his worst scores recently. I know that. But in terms of that handcuff, man, handcuffs are a funny business, yo. Because I saw rumors of a cash knock or whatever. So I don't know if that's even a handcuff anymore. The Digne Moreno one, if Cash is actually out for a couple of games or whatnot. But where would I rate that handcuff in terms of rankings? Maybe like 6th, 7th round value, potentially.
Yeah. I could see it.
Yeah.
Interesting question. Just, I mean, and we can use it as a springboard to like talk about Moreno if you guys want to. Fell 29 spots from our last set of rankings, so that puts him at 126 overall. So yeah, I mean, I guess I wasn't that far off not ranking him. That just means he's outside of my top 150. So yeah, I mean, he's available again in all of my leagues. Are you guys thinking about picking him up at all?
I think he's gone in all my leagues. He has been.
Really?
Yeah, especially I think there was a brief period, I think when I dropped him a couple of weeks ago, but that news that came out that he was back in training forced people to pick him back up, and no starts for the last, I think, 2 game weeks hasn't deterred them. So I think, yeah, if he doesn't get one in the next 2, I bet he gets dropped again. But his time will come in the festive season for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, for that period, I wouldn't mind the cup and the certainty of having a solid role. The Villa left back role is pretty valuable. Although their schedule gets pretty tough from here on out. So yeah, he's another one that, like, yeah, how do you rank someone that was pretty good last year, is coming back from an injury, is likely going to rotate, but has a slight possibility of regaining the role? Like, how do you value that? So
I would say that we have been guilty previously of over-ranking players who are coming back from injuries. And I think that's just us being a little bit optimistic. And I want to say that we did learn our lesson a little bit this season, but not enough, I would argue. I really think that we need to start taking that so much more into account, just in terms of players being eased back in, players going, players going 50 minutes, players playing a half sometimes, players going a month once they come back of just being a substitute. I just think, yeah, there's so much more of that these days, especially with the perpetuation of the 5 subs. I just think that's something that's why I'm much quicker to drop a player who is going to be injured long term now, unless it's somebody like a Madison, because I just know that it's going to be a whole thing. It's going to be a whole thing, and I've sat through it with multiple players this year, Jesus and all the others, where it's like, do you really want to sit there and wait and wait and wait?
Yeah, the Nkuku case right now is really interesting because, yeah, I think there's a frenzy right now to get him before he makes his cameo now that he's back in training. But he's been gone for so long. It's still going to be his first season in the Prem. I can't imagine they're going to throw him to the Wolves. So do you sell high on the news after holding him for all these months, or do you have some costs and you're going to see this through to the end? It's an interesting question. I would sell the news depending on what I can get.
Yeah. We have him 42nd overall.
I think that's fair. He could be a top 20 player. He could re-injure it.
Yeah.
That's the risk you're pricing in with a 42 ranking.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about him. I think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna do well. But Sanji, you are lowest of anyone on Nkunku.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan brought up some great points. I'm just trying to be realistic about the situation. Lengthy injury. He's not playing in the Prem yet. I think he gets his opportunity when Nico goes off for AFCON. Like, that will be his nailed sort of opportunity. But we don't know if there's going to be a reoccurrence. Like, I don't know if he take penalties off of Palmer as well. I mean, he was an absolute baller in, like, if you play Champions League fantasy and stuff like that, like scoring hat tricks for fun, goals for fun. I think he had like near 50 goals in just over 100 appearances or something for Leipzig. So, I mean, yes, he has a credential and all that, but yeah, I'm just trying to be as realistic about the situation as possible. And I don't see him getting rushed back, getting 90 minutes, that sort of stuff. And I'm worried, concerned. But at the same time, he's still going to be, I think, a top asset to own, because Chelsea, I mean, you look at the last 2 game weeks, I think things are starting to finally click for Pochettino from an attacking perspective. Like, that 4-4 was an absolute brilliant game to watch, especially watching with Ben. I mean, we look a bit fearless, but at the same time, is like, it's something we mentioned about, Chelsea being up against the top boys, is that with the space behind and whatnot, we'd play better. But now with the easy fixture run coming and then Nkunku coming, is he going to suffer with the rest of the squad, or is he going to be that person that unlocks the team? So there's way too many unknowns for me. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right. Anything else on fallers, guys? I mean, there are a couple of, defensive mids in here that we didn't have ranked super high coming into the season. It's proven to be, our expectations have seen themselves proven, and we've dropped them even further. We talked about Havertz. I mean, did you want to touch on Antony at all? He's just been complete and utter garbage. I don't know what else there really is to say. He doesn't ghost at all. I just keep thinking of that clip where he tries to juke the guy and then kicks it out of bounds. And the whole thing on the top, it says 100 million or 110 million or whatever. Just and Genie will be the first to say that he's been absolutely abysmal. I'm sure Draft Hash would agree in the chat, but yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to do with the guy. I actually had kind of high hopes for him this year.
Yeah, he's been horrific. The personal stuff probably doesn't help either.
Yeah.
An interesting one for me is Udogie. Started out pretty well, got a few assists, then got injured and got the red card, and I've been trying to trade him out. He's been tough to shift in the one league where I have him, and they have that tough run coming up. So he's an interesting one for me. I feel like I need to hold him, but it's like every week I'm like, I don't really feel like starting him, and I can't trade him out. So I'm just gonna have to wait, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Who do you think takes that Van de Ven spot, by the way? Who's your guess? Now Ange has had like 2 weeks to actually figure out his plan B.
Well,
Dyer, and then
it's between Dyer and Davies, right?
Yeah, Romero's back because it was 2 yellows.
A couple of games. It's just a red card, right?
Was it a straight red?
Yeah, straight red. So he's got like two more matches or something.
Yeah.
Our predicted lineups have Udogie, Porro, Royale, and Davies starting.
Lord.
Royale is the center back. That's something else. I would probably say Davies and Dyer then.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But my guess is like with Romero, when Romero comes back, I'm assuming Davies comes in because of playing the high line, needing the pace to recover, because they struggled against Wolves. So
yes, mightily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, sweet. Well, let me do a little magic here, hopefully, because I just realized in making, guys, I had the day off today. All right, I went and met a friend for lunch. It was just a really nice, just a pleasant day, and I was not on my game. I didn't even put a slide for faller or for risers in here. Just didn't do it. Just didn't
Glass half empty.
Oh man. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna amend this. I'm gonna
Should
hopefully...
I play some elevator music?
No. I'm gonna deliver on this right now. Watch. Boom. Here it is. All right. On your screen, you see your... Hold on. I can do even better. Oh no. Oh. There we go. On your screen, you see the biggest risers in our rankings. So sorry, I forgot to put that on a slide, but hey, you've got it on the screen now. So if you're on YouTube, check it out. Otherwise, I will dictate this for audio listeners. Okay. Simicas up 63, Allison up 56, Gallagher up 52, and Kunko up 51. Huang, our boy Huang, up 48, followed by his not compatriot necessarily, his colleague, if you will, from Wolves, Cunha up 46, John McGinn up 36, Bernardo Silva up 35, Dingra up 29, Wan-Bissaka 28, Brandon Johnson 28, Zinchenko 27, Digne 26, Gravenberch 26, and Cole Palmer 25. These are very interesting names, to be honest. Like these are the guys I want to spend time talking about.
It's great. The recency bias is great because Zinchenko wouldn't have moved at all if he didn't drop 20 spots this past
and
game.
He shouldn't
right
have
before
moved, really.
Right before the rankings.
Yeah, there's no reason he should be.
And Simicas, had 3 assists right before him too, so that doesn't hurt. It's interesting. The one that really stands out for me is John McGinn, and it's forced me into a quasi mea culpa because his numbers last season under Emery were absolute trash. All of the kind of midfield numbers, Ramsey notwithstanding, were pretty bad under Emery. But he's been playing really well. I don't know if he can keep it up because it's been mostly, I think, attacking returns. But yeah, I got to say that he's performed better than I thought he would. Same with Cunha and Hechan as well.
Yeah. I mean, Huang he's performed better than anybody in their right mind would have thought. Cunha, I don't know. I mean, we saw this coming last year, didn't we? Kind of. Just didn't happen last year.
Every Wolf was a dumpster fire under Lopetegui, so just like, that last minute managerial change just completely changed Wolves' fantasy prospects, and it was impossible to really predict. So yeah, I don't fault us for not believing in either of them coming into the season.
Yeah. Interesting. So Cunha 78, Huang at 83. That's, to me, that doesn't feel like that much of a difference, but I personally would much rather have Cunha out of those two. I have them 20 spots different in my rankings.
Yeah, Cunha's been a successful dribble machine. I think he's in the top 3 successful dribbles with Eze and Doku, which has been interesting to see.
Yeah. All right, Sanjay, I guess we should probably address this. You're getting called out in chat at the fact that you have Conor Gallagher at 17 overall.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, nothing is wrong. I'm not gonna castigate anybody here. Nothing's wrong. However, let's just see. Jeannie has him at 47. Draftlat at 67. Gavin at 37. I've got him 45. Ryan's got him 47. Robbie 57, and then Toddy at 48.
Yeah, it can't be real. So I think Gallagher's value really changed once Cole Palmer came into the team as a mainstay. And you can kind of see that correlation in the numbers as well. I think it's around October 2nd or something like that. At some point, Gallagher just switched to ghosting, let's say, 8 to 10 points every game.
Yeah.
And then with an attacker return here or there, and with just assists, he was going like at least 20 points, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a... I have to accept that I got Gallagher completely wrong start of the season. He did not have a great start of the season. I mean, we all have to admit that if you watch him play and stuff like that. But given the captaincy as well, like he's nailed, he's in the thick of things. Like, I mean, yeah, the points are coming, and he's basically like a mid 2, dare I say? I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, like why not? Like where do I have him actually ranked? It's not actually 17, is it?
It's gotta be.
Actually,
we have it on the screen.
Love it. Well, I mean, he's putting up numbers that's similar to Soboslai, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like fantasy numbers at least.
Yeah. Yes.
So
he's like 20 now.
I mean, if you're gonna take Sobo round 2, why don't you take Gallagher round 2 as well? Putting up similar numbers. I think rest of the season, Sobo probably gets more because Liverpool are an absolute juggernaut of an attacking team. They've got better finishers. That's for sure. Have you met Nico Jackson? Yeah, I think just Gallagher's ability to ghost is what gives me the confidence that they're still a decent attacking team, Chelsea. So every now and then he's going to hit the heights of like getting a random 20-point game, 15 to 20-point game, let's say. So that's why I think I have him up there. He's dependable. Now, like he's kind of proven he's somewhat fixture proof. He come up against the big boys and he's done it. So yeah.
He's a sell high for me. I think he'll be fine rest of the season, but I think he's probably peaking right now. He's, I think, a bit more forward than he was, I think, at the very beginning of the season. And I assume with Nkunku coming back that either he's going to get rotated maybe a little bit more. I'm not saying he's going to lose his spot entirely. And or be forced to play a little further back, which he can do. But I don't think it's more conducive for fantasy points than his current role. Historically, it goes to around 7-ish per start, which is okay, but not great. But this season, I think he's 18.6. So clearly his current role is really facilitating that, like you said. But it just feels like it's a sell high before. Like I said, I think he's going to be fine rest of the season. It's not like he's going to fall off a cliff. It's like he's doing really great right now, and he's just going to do, I think, okay rest of the season.
I find it interesting how many of us have Palmer ahead of him.
Probably the penalties.
Palmer is he's on
Palmer's
pens. He's on pens. He is sitting at 6 starts, right? Is he on 6? Right, Sanji, 6 starts? Yeah, 6 starts, and currently averaging 15.8 fantasy points per start.
And he scored what, like 4 penalties? I think the most in the league.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, his points just seem a bit more return dependent than Gallagher. Like if you look at the games that he scored those pens, 14.5, 13.5, 19.5. The 26, he got an assist as well, where he got 26. I mean, he's probably like has a higher ceiling in that sense, but I prefer the safety of ghost points. And the thing is like there's a lot of chatter as well, like, you know, other creators and like fantasy enthusiasts talking about the link up that you saw with Nkunku and Nico Jackson. I mean, there's like, I don't think it like Cole Palmer gets benched for Nkunku, but like Cole Palmer has kind of been the reason why there's now a headache of where is Nkunku gonna fit into everything, because I don't think we were expecting this start of the season for him to come in and like, you know, just be a mainstay now.
Interesting. Yeah.
Do you remember where Nkunku played mostly in the preseason? Not that necessarily means where that's where
like off the main striker, I want to say.
Yeah, I thought he was in the hole. That's why I thought Gallagher might be the one that would most likely give way, but he's been playing so well and given the captaincy, so that's why I think he's maybe more likely to move a bit further back. But yeah, I don't know.
They could see a lot more rotation, especially as people get healthy at Chelsea. Yeah, that could be an interesting thing that we maybe didn't even factor into, or at least I didn't factor into my rankings. I wasn't thinking about like maybe massive Chelsea rotation coming up.
I think Nkunku wasn't returning from injury. I think that would have boosted Gallagher's spot at least maybe 15 spots for me. It's mostly kind of what the uncertainty of what's going to happen when Nkunku comes back that's making me a little less bullish on Gallagher.
Interesting. All right. Anyone else here? Speaking of mea culpas, is it time for us to talk about Bernardo Silva again? We do this every goddamn season. We do this. We talk about Bernardo Silva. He's just bossing it out of nowhere. Who could have seen it coming?
I'm so sick of it, dude.
I know. Yep.
But the thing is, he's the Man City utility man, right? He's Pep's Swiss Army knife. Like he might drop some 30-point games, but then it wouldn't surprise me if he drops a 1-pointer. Like
sure,
at some point in the next few game weeks.
Easily, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's this close to leading the club every freaking summer.
I know. And how is he rewarded? Just with so many starts. So many starts. It's wild. I've never seen a club so smitten with a player. It's crazy. Yeah, very, very interesting. That one. Let's see. Bernardo Silva, 13.2 points per start. How many starts? 8. 67% of the starts. Let's see. He has an expected points per 90 of 10.3 and ghosts just under 8. Ceiling of about 24, floor of about 2, as you mentioned there, Sanji. 45% reliance on ghost points for his points. Or no, sorry, 45% reliance on goals, assists, and clean sheets.
Floor of 2.
Floor of 2. Yeah, I tend to agree with Alchemy in the comments. He said no better sell high than Bilva. But I mean, again, we say this every time. And whoever you trade him to is gonna, what's gonna happen. He's gonna start him against you, and he'll have like a hat trick of assists.
Yeah, I just played against him.
Well, that explains it.
Yeah, I think some dude in my league like traded Norgard for him, like right before he randomly took off. So that was nice.
Yeah. Anyone else you guys want to touch on before we move on?
Adingra, I think he's nailed on, as nailed as you can be in Brighton at the moment. Like, isn't like a João Pedro that starts. He does start some Europa League games, but that doesn't preclude him from starting Premier League games. I think he's started the last at least 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And with the injuries and Asia Cup with Matoma, I mean, you got to think that he's nailed at this point.
Yeah. I mean, no, I would definitely think so. He's not available in any active leagues. Amazingly, he is still available in a lot of, home leagues and stuff like that. But the question is, like, could you get him if you were trying to trade for him now?
I have him in 2 leagues. I'm trying to think what I would give or what I would want in return. It's a good question. I haven't really thought about it.
Well, let's see. He is 1 second here. All right. So he is going to be okay. He is our number 55 overall player. Just below him, you have players such as Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jack Harrison, Dominic Solanke, Tavernier, Diogo Dalot, Joe Linton. Just above him, you have players such as Bernardo Silva, Nico Jackson, Anthony Gordon, Tarkowski, De Bruyne, Reece James, Conor Gallagher. Would any of those tempt you, Ryan?
Oh, a lot of them wouldn't, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know if I guess full circle Gallagher might. Especially if I needed a mid. Yeah, I think I'd probably do that, despite the uncertainty we just talked about. But yeah, a lot of the other guys, I don't think I would.
Sanji, how about for you?
Yeah, I'd probably sell high on Adingra. I think you'd be very, very lucky to get Gallagher.
From you, certainly.
Yeah. I wouldn't get Gallagher at all.
As we've seen.
Top 15 assets.
If I was to try and get Adingra and I was to maybe give up an asset, I mean, the name you just mentioned, like Norgard, I think something along those lines, potentially.
Norgard's is waiver wire fodder.
Yeah, but Adingra's points are not really consistent. He's got a bunch of sub 10 holes. I mean, he has the upside because he plays for a great attacking team. Like, De Zerbi does wonders with that Brighton squad. But what happens when people come back fit like Enciso? Mitsoma shakes off whatever the hell he has.
Weeks, months away.
I don't know. It's just rest of the season. I worry about his minutes, and I mean we all kind of had like a bit of a, I think, our eyes and ears kind of open for this kid. Like, he was supposed to be like the hidden gem this season and stuff like that, and he's come good. Don't get me wrong. Like, he looks good on the eye test and stuff like that. He's scoring goals in Europe, but I just worry about the nailness. I think we're seeing his highest value because there's so many injuries, because he has like a safe route to minutes. And they're kind of depending on him to get some sort of attacking output or whatever. It's tough to judge his value right now. You know who's like dropped off a cliff right now? Matty Cash, actually. Would he be a fair trade for Dingra?
I wouldn't take him.
I mean, if anyone's sending you those kinds of offers, I would just point them to our rankings. And if they're not Inner Circle members, just for the sake of your negotiations, feel free to send them screenshots. But otherwise, please don't. Yeah, please don't just send out the rankings. But yeah, no. I mean, the fact that we have him where we do, around the players that we do, I'm gonna be selling him on all of the promise that Evan loves to remind us that he has. Yeah, I mean, if I'm selling him now, it's going to be for a nailed starter that's hopefully going to get me, decent, consistent points is probably what I'm going for. Because if I'm selling a Dingra, it's probably like you're saying, Sanjay, it's probably because I'm a little bit fed up with rotation, maybe being subbed early, or just various different things like that, right? Or maybe I need a mid, like you said, Ryan. I might try to get in somebody who's more consistent.
Interesting. There's one player I wanted to briefly see if we can just get your take on, Joe, because Ryan and I think have him similarly ranked. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You were, I think, 30 spots higher on him, around?
Higher? Oh, wow. Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I thought I was low on him.
It's always interesting when you look back at the rankings you do. You're like, huh? Did I actually do that?
Wait. No, you guys are low on him. Well, you guys are really low on him.
Is that too low though? Like
120 and 118?
Ryan, what's your reasoning behind that? My one is like, I don't trust United to keep clean sheets. I don't trust Erik ten Hag, and he's one shit performance away from getting rotated right back out.
Yeah, I mean, injury prone, rotates, the soft fixture runs almost over. Like, take your pick.
I mean, I'm by and large with you. Like, I'm the third lowest of anybody on him.
Just don't like him, all right?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. No. I mean, like, if I'm gonna go to bat for him, I mean, why does Genie like him? Why does
I mean, Genie's a United fan, to be fair.
If only Draft Lad could let us know, like, why he might be a fan. I don't know. We'll see if we can get word to him somehow. Shaw coming back is worrisome for Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean,
inside of the pitch though, no? Isn't Wan-Bissaka
right? Yeah.
Shaw left.
I think that thinking probably that Delo.
Delo's been playing very well.
Yeah, he maybe fix it. Yeah,
I mean, let's not forget Wan-Bissaka is the better defender. Maybe one of the best they have. And so he ghosts a little bit, not a ton. He ghosts a little bit. I think if they get defenders back and hopefully, healthy, then they can start to put together a couple of clean sheets. That was kind of my thinking. And the reason I had him what I thought was low was Evan said Delo's been pretty shitty recently. I'm just speaking of fantasy wise. I just remember him dropping a decent amount of points against me. Anyway, yeah, I thought I had him what I thought was pretty low because I'm worried about the rotation, but I do think that in a certain, spot start, he could be fine. But like just fine. Yeah. Fantasy pretty good for Delo. IRL kind of bad. Agreed. Which is why I think Wan-Bissaka is maybe the best defender on their whole team. Aside from they have like a 5'2" kid or something that apparently plays for them.
Butcher.
Wait, he's like 35? What do you mean? No. How old is Martinez? He's like young, but he looks old, right?
Yeah, I think he's like 24-ish.
Yeah, but
fairly young.
Yeah, he like has that look about him. It's like
Butcher, man.
he's
the
like
guy's fierce.
seen some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 25 years old.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, let's leave the risers there for now, and give me 1 second.
That's a nice.
Bring this back.
Nice adjustment. Quick flip.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, nice.
Mhm.
And let's move on to the disagreements. This is going to be really, really hard to read. But if people want to go on YouTube and check it out, they can at a later date. But I'll go ahead and just kind of dictate a couple of these. Probably not going to obviously go through all of them, but these are some of our biggest disagreements that we have. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka right up there. As you just heard, there's a big gulf in rankings for him. But some of the other guys, Dwight McNeil, we talked about Mason Mount, Fabian Schär, Ivan Toney, interesting one. Maybe we should touch on quick. We haven't talked about him much this season. Livramento, we talked about Alex Moreno, Christian Romero, Ryan Christie, Carlton Morris, Odegaard. Maybe we leave it there, unless you guys want to throw in Ferguson and Olise.
Yeah. No, I mean, Ferguson's just like, consistently injured. Extremely boomer bust.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, he's hard to rank.
I buried him in my rankings, as you can see.
Yeah, I did too. I don't roster him, but I can like feel the frustration secondhand.
Yep. All right, let's start with McNeil. How about? I have him at 30. Some people have him in the 20s. Genie has him at 65.
I think that's just personal issues that Genie has.
Yep.
So
Gavin has him at 49. I mean, I feel like all those are pretty understandable given we know how Genie feels about McNeil. So Fabian Schär, injured. Do we think he comes back and kicks on?
I mean, I had him last season, and yeah, he was a ghost point magnet. So I've been giving him a lot of rope this season, but I just, outside of I think 1 or 2 games, I just haven't seen it. So I don't feel confident starting him in really any game. I mean, yeah, Chelsea at home this weekend, and I'm like actually thinking about benching him. Because I'm just sick of the like 2.5 point outings. So yeah, I'm pretty down on him right now, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fair.
None out of the Share Bears group.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add on that, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with all the points.
It's funny because like my feelings about him are so lukewarm at this point that I'm just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's like a bowl of soup.
Like if somebody offered you him in a trade, it would almost feel like they're not giving you anything.
You'd counter with the same deal, but just leaving him out, and you want the roster. You'd rather have the roster space.
That was hilarious.
Sorry, I'd rather have an open spot.
Yeah.
No hard feelings.
I don't want to drop him, so that's inconvenient for me. I'd rather just cut out the middleman.
Fair.
All right, let's have the Tony discussion quick. Highest is going to be highest is going to be Draft Lad at 54, Gavin at 55. Let's see. Yeah, Sanji, you're at 70, Ryan 94, and I'm at 89. So yeah, you're a little bit higher than we are, Sanji, but it looks like we're all fairly skeptical.
I don't know where he's gonna end up. All these bloody rumors, man. Arsenal, Chelsea, I don't know, whatever club. Like, I think he should still be a stud regardless of where he goes, right?
I think he'll move in the summer. I would be very surprised if he moved in January after being on the couch for the last few months. It'd be really weird if he came back and was immediately transferred. It's just doesn't feel right. I think he gets the rest of the season for Brentford to help them. and to probably increase his value. But yeah, it's risky biz. It could hurt his value if he comes back a little lackluster from all the time out. Yeah, I put him probably a little lower just because there's still a month and a half before he can technically play a game.
Right.
So that has to factor in, and then
you're gonna miss all the festive fixtures, right?
Yeah, that's a really valuable time. And then you never know how he's gonna hit the ground running. So yeah, all those factor in. But when he's back fit, we all know he's going to be a top 20 player most likely. So it's just how much you value that spot and all that time.
Fair.
Got it, back to the pie.
Yeah, the chat is talking about pie a lot today, which I'm here for. It's the day before Thanksgiving here in the States, and so obviously we've got pie on the mind.
Myself.
Yeah. So I mean, we're clearly here for the pie talk, but yeah, they're talking about pecans or pecans, as you will, down south. They're talking about what's your stance on pumpkin pie, Ryan?
I hate it.
Hate it.
Yeah,
just out the gates immediately.
Ooh. Can't stand it.
Don't like do you not like the pureed pumpkin?
No, it's gross. It's
like
more of like a savory. Yeah, it's more like a savory pie, and I'm not about that life.
It is kind of a savory pie. That's true.
Cherry pie is my go-to.
I love a cherry pie. Sanjay, if you had like a good American like pumpkin pie, like just
can't say that I have
the shit from the can that you put into a pie tin, and it's like, yeah.
I sound like I'm really missing out here. You sold it so well.
It's honestly a bizarre thing that we do here. I can do it if there's enough whipped cream on it, but yeah. Omar says he prefers flan. That's fair. I get that.
I like flan, but if you can really fuck up flan, and it's disgusting. But you can also make it really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's a boom or bust.
I went to a Turkish spot today for lunch and I had some baklava, and it was divine.
Oh, nice. You should try kunefe.
Okay.
Which is it's got kind of like a baklava like top. It looks like it's like thatched, and then underneath is really warm cheese, and it's delightful.
Yeah.
If you go back to that Turkish spot, I bet they have it. Any Turkish spot with its salt would have that.
Done. I feel like I want to go back now. It was delicious.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, you got to drop the spelling. Where I live now, there's only Turkish restaurants, so there's a good chance I could probably get some.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I live in Ryan's hood now. Like
baklava pie. Draft Alchemy in chat said he's making baklava pie tomorrow. That's a recipe I'd like to have. I love the pistachio. Anyway, all right, I'm sorry. We should. Omar's having a good time though. All right, God. I mean, again, it is the day before Thanksgiving. We Americans love excess, and nothing more than just eating for an entire day. So
are you cooking, Joe? What are you doing?
No, we don't have any family here. And my wife works on Friday, so we're not going back home to the Midwest. We're from Wisconsin for listeners. And so we are going to go to one of her friends who lives in North Raleigh in what can only be described as a mini mansion, and just eat their food and not have to clean up and really, really just have a great day.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good for you.
God, I really want some pie now.
It's yeah.
I have some in my freezer.
We joke about like, oh, that's our other podcast, pie talk or whatever, but this is quickly just becoming that at this point.
Yeah. Ryan Christie, anybody? He's another recency bias guy. I mean, 2 weeks ago.
16 points. What
Exactly.
the hell?
I think Genie's propping up that 124 overall ranking. Yeah. I have nothing to say about him. Odegaard's going to come up in a later question, so we can hold off on that.
82.
Yeah, 82 for Ryan Christie for Genie. Genie picks out his guys and just sticks to them. Like he's got guys that he just loves.
I bet he's probably a very loyal friend.
He's got to be.
I like to think he's a loyal friend for us. But.
Right. Like if anybody were to ever talk shit, he would be like, absolutely not. And like, if you're Ryan Christie, I mean, you can even stab him in the back a couple of times, and he's still going to come back to you.
Wait, he has Christie over Tony? Wow. Okay, I gotta like timestamp this this like day and see if Ryan Christie outscores from this point until end of season. Ivan Tony. Wow. Okay. Love that. Interesting.
Just more pie talk in chat.
Mathematical pie, though.
That's a brilliant comment. Draft Pie bringing the draft pod and the pie pod all in one. Love that. All right, guys. This seems like the logical time to move on here.
Yeah, I would say.
All right, we have a couple questions that came from the community. So the first one, Draft Offside did a little, if you want to call it, analysis of our ranks. Gave us some props first. Draft Society always puts out solid rankings. We appreciate that. These are the ones that stood out to him as feeling a little bit off. Bruno at number 2 feels too high for him. Do you want to touch on that quick?
I agree with the first two, disagree with the last two.
So you say that Bruno and Eze feel too high, and the last two for him, Madison and Rashford, feel too low.
Yeah, I'll quickly go through my reasoning. Bruno, I think he's going to be a top 10 asset, but he hasn't shown enough to be number 2. And I just don't know if that's going to change. Plus, there's too many good players up there to compete with. Salah, Saka, obviously Holland. So yeah, 2 seems too high. Top 5, fair enough. 2, a little too high. As a 7 seems really high. I think he's a top 15 player for sure. And yeah, he was injured, came back, went straight to his old ways. But Olise coming back is gonna eat into that. He's not gonna be the only guy. He's not gonna dominate set pieces. So top 15, top 20, totally. Top 7, nah. Madison, top 10 player when fit, but he's not going to be back at least until January. Plus, he has I hate to say it, a high likelihood of re-aggravating it. And so dropping him down from probably 10 to 24 doesn't seem like that harsh. And yeah, Rashford is the 80th top scorer. So 39, having the difference seems pretty generous.
Oh, so he said Rashford's too low.
I think 39 is low. You know what I mean? I think he's flipping that thing. I think he thinks he should be higher, right? So
yeah,
that's my understanding.
I think he should be lower.
Oh, okay. No, because I thought you said you agreed with Bruno and Eze, and you disagreed with Madison.
I meant I agree with his take that the top 2 are too high and the bottom 2 are too low. Yeah.
I got you.
So
okay.
he's probably like, why is he arguing against himself?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes total sense now. You're saying you're agreeing with his takes versus disagreeing with his takes. Okay, I got you.
Bingo.
What do you think, Sanji?
I get your points on Bruno, but I'm looking at default scoring, like pulling up DPL and stuff like that. Bruno's sitting 8th overall, and this is having a very shit season. shit team at the moment, and he's 20 points behind Saka, who's in third. So it's not a terrible I mean, second is probably a bit too high. I get that. But top 4, top 3, top 4, I don't think is too far of a reach. Eze, I think he could push top 10. Maybe 7's a bit high. But yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point about Elise like cutting into sets, but he has the pens, and he's become a different monster under Hodge, man. Yeah, he's so good. He arguably could have had a second penalty. I think the ref booked him for diving in that game. Yeah, he's looking untouchable at the moment, man. Nailed like. We assume Elise comes back and takes sets, right? What happens? I don't know. Elise has an re-aggravation, all that sort of stuff, or maybe loses some of the sets. I don't know. But
then reevaluate.
Yeah. Madison, I think, is fair. I agree about the re-aggravation. We've seen it in seasons before when he was at Leicester and all that sort of stuff. That's basically saying he's a round 2 pick, which I don't think anyone can argue against, right? It's just on the late end of that round. And I also agree Rashford is too high here. I think drop him down to like 50s. I think it's a fair reflection of his value. He's very much a confidence purple patch guy, man. And sure, maybe it pops up at some point this season, but there's no hints at it anywhere. And he's getting subbed now. I would think like Rash is a 90-minute, like sees out the whole game sort of situation, but yeah, it's worrying, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm with you guys. Nice. All right, last couple here. This one's from Draft Alchemy, also with us in chat. Thanks for the interactions on Twitter, man. We appreciate it. So lower than expected Reece James. We can touch on that quick. I think we've talked about Conor Gallagher. He says Conor Gallagher is higher than he expected. And then Martin Odegaard as a seemingly divisive one. Lower than expected Reece James. Got to just be the injuries, right?
Yeah, I think we've all been burned on, thinking that he's back in the past, only for him to last 2 games and re-injure himself. So it's kind of like a wait and see. Prove it to me before I change my opinion. I'm not just going to give him the trust that he probably gave him in seasons past with the injuries. So yeah, I tried to be as subjective as possible there, factoring in the upside, but also clearly the injury concerns. So yeah,
he's fair. I think some of us are just kind of done with him at this point. It's just like it's not like a reflection of him as a player. And honestly, when he's on the pitch, he's amazing, and we all know this to be true. We have to think of these guys as fantasy assets here. And so that being the case, are you willing to take the risk again? And at some point, the answer just needs to become like no, right? And so I think for Sanji, 57, for me, 56, for Totti, 55, I think we've all just kind of said like, yeah, we're going to let someone else deal with that. We're going to let someone else bench him for months on end as he's injured, and you can't drop him because he's too valuable to be dropped, and you can't trade him because then you're trading at an all-time low, and blah, 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 blah. Just a vicious cycle. So we're kind of just done.
I mean, even with his, I think he did an interview a few days ago. He's talking about, he hasn't felt this good in such a long time, but he still also emphasizes that he's slowly progressing. And I think it's going to take time for him to come back to that, to gain our trust again. We know his ceiling. We are all aware of his ceiling. He's a great player, fantastic player. But I mean, now we have a worthy backup in Malo Gusto as well, right? So there really isn't that much urgency on like pushing Reece to his limit. There's no other competitions to really be playing for, sort of thing. So yeah, I think we've realistically ranked him. So
yeah, All right, Ryan, let's touch on Odegaard. You still like him at 15 overall. It's guys like me and Sanji who are burying him at 35, 34, respectively. Gavin also at 32. So you're seeing him land somewhere in the middle there at 23, which honestly, I feel like still a second round pick if you were to draft today. Late second round, the way that he's been performing, the way that we've seen this Arsenal team not quite be as prolific in terms of attacking output as they were last year. It seems pretty fair to me, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I get and understand the reasoning behind dropping him a bit. If it was a few weeks ago, I probably would have been there, but I think he's coming back from injury. There's a nice run of fixtures coming up. I think this Arsenal attack gets better as folks get fit. So 15 maybe is a bit too high, but I think he has the possibility of getting back to his old ways. But yeah, I totally get the caution.
Yeah. What do you think, Sanji? Why do we have him so low? Speak for me.
I mean, the points kind of speak for themselves in a sense as well, right?
Yeah.
And Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong. We did kind of say that he was going to see a bit of a drop off from last season. Like last season was a superb season that he had, right?
Yeah.
And it just feels like you guys, I think you guys are one of the best defensive teams around at the moment, for sure. Attacking, it doesn't seem as good as it was last season. You're still a great attacking team, don't get me wrong. But something, and maybe it goes back to the whole Xhaka influence and that he had on the team or whatever, right? And maybe that's kind of affected Odegaard's ability to score points just as well. What do you think?
I think Partey's absence has been a big reason behind that. Just the defense splitting passes and that like thrust from that position. You obviously don't get from Jorginho. So
good one.
I think that's a big miss. I think we're going to address that in January. Yeah, I want to see them cook with Jesus up top. That front
Please,
three
God.
hasn't played really at all together this season. I think Timber was going to be a big cog in this system. So him coming back, I think in January will hopefully help as well. And yeah, I think we addressed that third midfield spot in January. So yeah, this is mostly going off hope and faith that it gets better. But yeah, I came into the season dropping Odegaard down a bit. I saw him go, I think 10th, and between 8 and 10 in my league. I definitely didn't think he was a first round player because he scored 15 goals off of I think 13 XG last season. I mean, he was completely outperforming that, so it was expected that he was going to drop a little bit. But yeah, I think he'll improve. If he can't get over this injury, then that would be obviously a big reason for dropping him. But assuming that he will, because he's usually pretty reliable. So we'll see.
I like it.
Also,
anything
is it
else?
Still a bit of a Russian roulette for penalties at Arsenal?
Yeah, I mean it's basically whoever's playing against me. Honestly, I played against Odegaard one week, and then the following week I played against Saka, and Odegaard took the penalty that game, and then Saka went back and took the one the week after. I'm against Odegaard in 2 leagues this week, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets back from the spot. So.
The ultimate the ultimate is, were you playing against Kai the week that he took the penalty?
No, I had Kai benched.
Oh, you had him benched?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I texted my friend, I was like, every Arsenal penalty this season has negatively impacted my game week.
Yeah.
One way or another.
All right. Well, let's get into streamers, but real quick, Omar has like a legit question for us, and he's been such a joy in chat tonight. So let's see if we can answer this for him. He says he actually has a serious question. Don't know if there was keeper talk. There wasn't. But for those who have Raya, are you picking up a streamer and holding both? Options he has in his league look like Ramsdale, Areola. What's that guy's full name?
Vlachodimos.
Vlachodimos. There you go. And Steele.
I would probably hold Raya just because of the fixtures coming up. And out of those, probably Vlach or Ramsdale maybe.
Neto's not available. That would be my pick. If he's out there. But yeah, I don't know. Sanjay, what do you think about this one quick?
Yeah, it was interesting. We talked about it last night on the pod, and I'm almost tempted to say I would have just gambled leaving a dud Raya in my lineup versus dropping him. Because we've seen situations where the goalies can get like negative points or just a couple of points in a game week, and I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference because you're losing a potentially very, very good goalie rest of the season. Yeah, but out of the options that I'm seeing there, I'd probably go Vlachodimos. Don't trust Areola. I've dropped him. Talked about it in one of our recent waiver wire articles. Steele gets rotated based on home away fixtures. And I mean, that Ramsdale interview, Ryan, please tell me you saw that interview or the snippet of the interview about him talking about not being able to focus on the pitch or something like that.
Yeah, it's an old interview, so I was surprised that it didn't get much press when it first came out.
Yeah,
because I was watching it and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I guess that's a goalie thing, but yeah, I was kind of surprised in real time about it, and then yeah, once he got dropped, that resurfaced. So yeah,
I mean, the media knows how to do their job, so
yeah,
they had that in their back pocket for sure.
Waiting.
I don't know if he's available, but he is in most leagues. Would you guys play? Wait, who's playing Luton this week?
Luton are playing Crystal Palace.
Palace. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an option as well, right? Always.
Yeah, Johnson's been on a dip, but yeah, you gotta like the matchup.
Yeah. All right. Let's move streamers, and we will let folks get on with their holiday and or weekend. Thanks for those listening on their commutes or travels to wherever family events you're going to, or if you are outside of the United States, hope you have just an awesome time and just eat a bunch of food just in solidarity with us. Just like like gorge yourself on a lot of really good food because that's what we're going to be doing. So let's roll, guys. Game week 13 streamers. Ryan, you are first.
Like Wolves this week, Doherty proved his last cameo that he still got it. I think he comes back into the side as a wing back with the absences. Fulham has been one of the lowest scoring teams in the league. So combined his ghost points with Fulham's lack of attacking thrust, and that's a good combo. Same with Ait Nori, who's been kind of an enigma this season, but he's coming off a, I think, 16-point ghost point outing last time out, and so I like his prospects against Fulham as well. Topolo, last week notwithstanding, has been kind of a baller, and so Forrest is back at home. Joe, as you know, I bet a little bit on Forrest this weekend.
Yep.
I think at home I get the depleted Brighton squad.
That is a ballsy ass parlay that you have there.
I know. It's probably going to end in tears, but hope springs eternal. So I like him to get back to his ways. I think they have an okay shot at potentially keeping a clean sheet, but more likely is Topolo getting forward and getting some ghosts and potentially an attacking return. So I like him to get back to his ghosting ways. Semenyo like the rest of Bournemouth, had a good showing against Newcastle. Got 7.5 ghosts, which is pretty good for a forward. He was unlucky not to score. Obviously against Sheffield United, you got to like that matchup. So if he starts, and I think he will, because I think he passed the eye test, and I think Iraola likes him, and I think Sinistera's always going to be a bridesmaid, at least for the foreseeable future, coming off the bench. So I like Semenyo on that one.
13% rostered.
Yeah.
He's out there.
Yeah, I like him.
He's even available in Big Three. He's 53% in the Big Three community leagues. So yeah, that's pretty rare. So head out and grab him.
Yeah. The last one is Lo Celso versus Villa. Villa's not as great away. Spurs lack some creativity, obviously, with Maddison out. Ange went with midfield three that didn't include Lo Celso, so I think he's got a decent chance of coming back in, especially with Basuma suspended. He took some sets with Argentina, assisted the game-winning goal, so I think he might have a shot at getting some sets with Spurs. I think they have to try something different. I'm a little cautious because he hasn't really scored that well, even when he's got his chance, but in this type of setup, you've got to like his chances. And there's not that many great midfield streamers, high upside midfield streamers. So
true,
he's your bet. It's a little bit of a later game, but yeah, and there's going to be a lot of Wolves Fulham streamers. So if you got some cover, I think he's a good punt there. And yeah, that's your lot.
I like it.
And yeah, guys, I gotta run.
All right, man.
So yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, Joe. Enjoy the food, Sanji. Get some Nando's in your life.
Not a sandwich, basically.
Yeah. Nando's is catering my Thanksgiving piri turkey tomorrow.
As it should be. As it should be. Piri turkey. All right, brother. Happy holidays.
See you, boys.
Later. Bye. All right, Sanji, hit us with your streamers.
Awesome. So Ross Barkley versus Palace. So his last 3 games, he's finally gotten 90 minutes in the tank. I think that would be for the first time all season.
Wow.
So there's a chance that he's actually the fittest he's been all season. I mean, knock on wood.
Yeah.
We know how his hamstrings can kind of go at times. But yeah, I mean, he's ticking along with really good ghost points. Let's say 7 to 9 on average, without any attack and returns. So I think it's a decent option to stream, and you got to back the home team as well, right? That's kind of where Luton have been getting most of their points, I think. Like if you look at like the home form table, I say that, and they're still 19th in home form. Anyways,
it's
you think it should be better? Yeah, it's Luton.
With Kenilworth, you would think that it would be, but
yeah. So I mean, obviously, I have to find a way to plug any sort of Burnley asset in my life, right?
Sure.
So I'm gonna go Gudmundsson versus West Ham. So Gudmundsson, again, I think similar sort of points to Barkley. He's now playing at least 80 minutes. And yeah, I mean, before start of the season, he was only doing like a half, coming on as a sub, getting subbed a bit early. But now he's been dropping decent points as well, like ghost points. I think over his last 3 games, he's racked up 8 key passes, got a shot on target. Looks good at eye test as well. And I feel like given the fact that Burnley really need to start getting some points, and their fixture run's really good as well, so you could potentially hold past this point. He takes some corners, some set pieces, so I think it's a decent stream. I'm not sure what to expect from West Ham as well, with all these injuries to their forward players and stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of like that punt. I've got him in 2 leagues, so let's see what happens. Then Ryan Christie. I mean, Genie's sweetheart.
Genie's boy.
I mean, obviously it's a concern looking prior to that 16 points that he got 4-4, 2.5. But again, Bournemouth are also one of those teams where their fixtures kind of turn for the better as well. So it could be a asset that you punt on this game week and hold for a couple more game weeks. But he's getting 90 minutes as well, right? And you want players that play as many minutes as possible in the league. And again, with the extra time and stuff like that, it's probably going to be like 105 minutes or something like that. But I do like the looks of him. 4 key passes in his last game, couple shots on target, and a couple of ghost points spread across some defensive actions. And I mean, it's against Sheffield United. It's one of those tactics I think managers should always consider, is like, if your asset is coming up against one of the possible relegation candidates, it's probably going to be a decent punt. And then finally, I mean, we had a bit of chat about goalkeepers and stuff like that, but this is not really like I'm saying go drop David Raya. But if you have a shit keeper at the moment and you're just struggling to see where to go next, I think it's a really good 1 game week punt. Is going Aaron Ramsdale away to Brentford. Yeah. I think I don't really need to say more than that. He'll probably get some saves, good chance at a clean sheet. Let's see.
Yeah, I like that. It's funny because like some of the guys that you mentioned, right? Like Barkley, you're not going to find him in any of the big 3 leagues.
No.
He is like 90% rostered, whereas Goodmanson is actually rostered in more home leagues than he is in big 3 community leagues, where people are more active. So there's definitely some guys you can go and grab, but it just kind of depends on your league setup.
Yeah.
All right, let me buzz through mine and we'll let folks go to bed. So Ben Rama, if he's out there, it's not going to be many leagues. I think it's maybe less than 50% of community leagues he's available in. But I was able to snag him this morning in one. And so I know that he is in some. And so you were just mentioning, right, the injuries at West Ham, the stuff going on there. So Ben Rama, there's a reason he was drafted as high as he was, even though we were all wrong about that. He does fairly well in terms of ghost points, and he can deliver a set piece. He can whip in crosses. So yeah, you could do worse than a stream, especially against Burnley.
He always has a banger in his locker.
Always. But then he has 3. He has like 3 in a row where Hammers fans are like, "What the hell are you doing, Moyes? Get this guy off the pitch." Yeah. But we as fantasy managers, love to see him in there, but it's just, yeah. But this could probably be a good one. We'll see. We'll see. And that actually kind of ties in with, just the way that West Ham often attack. It actually ties in with the fact that I think you can maybe play Burnley center backs this week.
Yeah.
I think there's a decent shout to play them as well, and they'll be available in every single league. So if you are hemmed up, check that out. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to be my first option.
I think shout out to the fixture difficulty tracker as well that we've got in the toolkit. Get your hands on that if you don't already have access. But I think Burnley defensive, like at least defenders or whatever, Burnley are ranked 3rd in the tracker this game week. So spot on.
There you go. Yeah, and because if you add them now, that's a good point. If you add them now, you get you can just keep them for Sheffield United next week.
Yeah,
that's huge, and then maybe even Wolves the following week. Love that. Good shout. Okay, Sinistera. I know Ryan said he probably won't start, and he probably won't. But if he does against Sheffield United, you're gonna start him. You're gonna stream him. If you need a forward, if you need someone to slide in, you can't ask for much better opportunity. Now, will he deliver? Hard to say. We've seen him do it in the past. We know that he can ghost. We know that he can contribute to the attack. It's just, can he put it together? We haven't seen him do it yet this year, but he also really hasn't been given the chance. So I don't know. I see 60-minute. If he starts, I see 60 minutes written all over it, and you're just kind of hoping that he can ghost a little bit and contribute maybe an assist.
Yeah, it's crazy the ghost points that he's dropping with every appearance that he's making on the pitch. Colombian full-fledged international as well. It feels like he needs injuries in that team for him to get his opportunity, which is crazy to say because he's one of the best assets when Leeds were in the league. So
I know. Or he needs a new manager. I guess we'll see there. Sarabia versus Fulham. I mean, this is another one of those if he starts. We currently have him set to start in our predictions, but hard to say. I mean, it's always with this Wolves team, you never quite know. But he's been one of the few that have shown, that they can actually ghost in that midfield, where most of those players just don't. So we'll see. Lamina actually an okay shout too. He's had some decent weeks. It's never predictable with him. That's the problem. Yeah. But he could. And then check out for Ollie McBurney. He could be starting again this week. He's been dropped by a lot of people because he was injured for 3-4 weeks in a row. But this man, he just ghosts like it's his job. He's got aerials in his locker for days. So again, he's kind of like a Sinistera thing where it's like, I know there's a lot of people out there looking for forwards. If that's you, pick up one of these two guys, and just if you get into a tight spot, they're pretty decent streamers, to be honest. And so it's just, it's one of those things where it's like, you'd love to have better options, but if you look at my team, I have Jesus out. I drafted in CISO. And so now I'm starting the likes of McBurney and Jordan Ayew. And that's just the life that we're living now.
You mean McBurney and forward one for Totti?
Right. Yeah. McBurney and Totti's forward one.
I love the McBurney show. I mean, he's on penalties as well. And home fixture against relegation candidate as well. Like, it's like one of the best opportunities for you to roll him out. So
if not this week, then when?
Yeah.
And so his scores go his scores go as follow: 3, 17, 2, 3, 5, 18.5.
Definition of Boomo best.
We're rolling dice here. Let's be honest. Oh man. All right, Sanji, final thoughts.
We're going into the craziest time of the season. But it's also the best time. It's Christmas, right? Coming up. It's just soon enough. Just try to enjoy. Don't stress out too much. Like, you're not going to be able to control all this rotation and madness. Also keep a level head, just because there's a chance that some manager will end up with like half their main roster being benched. Please don't go dropping people just to get this one win in a game week. Like, just accept things for the way they are. Keep calm and just enjoy the football.
I love it. Yep. Can't agree more. That's great. Americans, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Everybody else, like I said, gorge yourselves with us in solidarity. Have a great weekend. Enjoy some good food. Enjoy some good drinks. Enjoy some time with family. And welcome back, football. Let's do this. Hope everyone has a great game week. If you have any questions, let us know. DM us or hit us up on Twitter, and we'll happily try to get back to you guys. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, community, you're the best. You're the reason we do this. Love y'all. We'll talk to everyone soon. KPC out.
Bye.